What makes a bad anime? What is it about a particular show that makes everybody just hate it? After making my video on XARM, I became very interested in this question, so I began scrolling through the bottom 100 of my anime list, and I thought to myself, why these shows? What's so special about these shows in particular that just makes everybody hate them? Which sparked an idea. Inspired by I Had Everything Search for the Worst, I would go through the bottom 100 to see if these shows really are as bad as they say. Scrolling through the list, the first thing that immediately caught my eye was King's Game. King's Game, or Ousama Game, originally airing late 2017 and based off a light novel by the same name. I was initially surprised to see King's Game rated this low. As of right now, it is sitting at 52 on the bottom 100, with 1 being the lowest. Now this surprised me because when King's Game came out, I had a lot of friends who really liked this show. Now they didn't call it a magnum opus, but I remember hearing really good things. So I came into this show with a grain of salt, thinking that it wouldn't really be that bad, and maybe just a little over exaggerated. But on this journey, I decided to bring a friend along to watch this show with me, D-Red, full-time degenerate, part-time fellow content creator, and together we will see if King's Game really is as bad as they say.
Hey, I'm D-Red, and like Habex said, full-time degen. I watch anime, I read manga, and sadly, I also have watched King's Game. But Habex will tell you more about the show and why it is so bad. I will deal with the characters later in this video. So yeah, Habex, your turn.
After having watched King's Game, my rose-tinted glasses seem to have faded away. And when I say faded away, I mean completely obliterated to the point where they no longer exist. To put it simply, King's Game is bad. Like really bad. Feeling more like a fever dream than an actual show. King's Game feels like the confused teenager of anime. It doesn't really know what it wants to be, so it tries doing 8 different things at once, while simultaneously failing miserably at all of them. My main problem with the show, and where most of the problems lie, is the plot. The plot of King's Game is an absolute mess, so much so that I won't be able to talk about all of it in this video, because there is just so much to cover, but I will try my best, so sit back, relax, and let's jump into it. But before we do that, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Every sub helps, and are greatly appreciated. Now let's get back into the show. Also, spoilers ahead, so skip to this part in the video if you don't want to be spoiled. King's Game follows the story of Nobuneki, a high school student forced to participate in, you guessed it, the King's Game, a game in which contestants are forced to complete a task by the end of the round, otherwise they are killed. These tasks include having sex with another member, breaking fingers, etc. Nobuneki, having played the game before, aims to put an end to it, and that's what the story focuses on. It sounds all fine and good on paper, but in practice it's a whole nother matter. Instead of just telling us this, we learn this through long drawn out flashbacks airing over multiple episodes, and the whole thing just feels unnecessary. It takes away time it could spend developing characters and puts it into something that we really don't need to know. And it's not like I don't know why they did this. They need a way to establish Nobuneki's backstory and show us his motivations, but it shouldn't be like this. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how it should be. I'm not an author, nor do I claim to be, but I know this just isn't it. From these flashbacks, we learn that during Nobuneki's past game, his previous classmates were able to uncover the origin of the King's Game. Drumroll please. It's a virus. The entire thing is a virus. Yes, it is as stupid as it sounds. So apparently the King's Game is a virus that has mutated and somehow made some sort of a killing game, evolving to be able to send text messages through the phone giving orders to its victims. And no, I am not joking. Why does it do this? I don't know. I assume that they would explain this by the end of the show, but nope, we learn almost nothing. And from here the show just kind of devolves into nothingness. I guess the writer of the anime just kind of got lazy, because from here we find out that there is no cure for the King's Game, and that the only way to beat it is to die. So yeah, everybody dies, including Nobuneki, and the show just ends. You're probably thinking to yourself, that can't be it, that I'm over exaggerating just how the show really ends. And sure, I skipped over a couple of details, but that is how the show ends. And let me tell you, it's very unsatisfying. It feels like it was trying to be different and unique, making you think that Nobuneki would make it out alive and cure the King's Game, only for him and everybody else to get killed. But it just seemed annoying and made the show come off as a massive waste of time. Honestly, my biggest problem with the plot is the excess amount of storylines all going on at the same time. There is just too much happening way too quickly, so much so that it's hard to get a grasp on what the fuck is actually going on in this story. In my opinion, they should have pumped the brakes, taking a focus on the key features instead of having 10 different storylines run at once. The show would have been so much better if it actually focused on, you know, the King's Game and the tasks that were given. Maybe focusing one episode on one round of the King's Game and actually exploring the ramifications of what happens instead of trying to speedrun through the show as fast as possible. But we can't talk about the plot without at least talking about the main focus of the show, which is of course the characters, and there is a lot to say about them. But for this part, I'm gonna let my good buddy D-Red take over, so take it away.
In King's Game, when it comes to the characters, there is one major issue. There are too many of them. In a show which wants you to feel shocked for the death of the characters, having too many of them is a massive misplay. We as the viewers aren't able to build a connection to the characters, cause, like I previously said, there are simply too many of them. You can't give 30 plus characters enough attention in a 12 episode anime. It's literally impossible. And the characters who are getting a bit of attention are getting killed off immediately. mystery. It's the common old school anime thing. When a character gets a bit too much attention, he's about to bite the dust. Combined with the little to none attention the rest of the characters receive, no character death is being meaningful to the viewers. Let's continue. And before I publicly crucify the MC, let me talk about the sidecast. And to describe the sidecast, one word will suffice: bland. Except like 4 characters, nobody has any substance. And the ones who have substance, their substance can be compared to putting a drop of food coloring into the ocean. There isn't much to see. The purpose of the entire sidecast is helping the MC, either by being a dick towards him to make him look better, or just sacrificing themselves for our MC so he can survive. They are like puppets with no character and personality. All they can do is either blame the MC for their circumstances or believe in the MC to solve the King's Game mystery. And honestly, at the end of the show, I am glad that they all died. And now to the MC. I hate that useless bastard. He cries more than Deku and Takemichi combined. He does nothing beneficial for the situation. All he does is doing some hypocritical hope talk, and then 2 minutes later, he contemplates about dying and ending it all. That dumb bastard. How dare he preach about hope and how they all can survive this game, and then wanting to commit suicide all of a sudden. And this goes through the entire show. This man switches between I want to live and I want to die like it's underwear. And the worst part of his characters is that even after all these people have died for him, he still willingly tried to get himself killed to save someone else. And he did it in such a stupid way and believed that he can get away with it. It's just so frustrating. This MC is the worst kind of hypocrisy you can ever experience. From declaring that he will end this game for all the people who died, to ending up doing nothing, literally nothing at all. All the useful things have been done by other characters. For example, the characters had to play this game where they had to break their fingers and give negative and positive points. So another side character decided to break all his fingers on one hand and give the antagonist all the negative points, so antagonist would die. MC had nothing to do with it. He didn't even come up with the plan. He literally did nothing beneficial for the entire situation, for the entirety of the show. I hate that bastard. But thanks to him, I found, in my opinion, the worst MC in all of anime. Now to the last character, the antagonist. And honestly, the antagonist is the best character in the entire show. She survived the previous King's Game and behaves like a survivor, taking control of the situation, and is trying to manipulate everyone else to die willingly so she can survive. And for the ones who are a thorn in her side, she deals with them in a smart way, by getting them killed by being disobedient to the king, which leads to death. Also, she doesn't fall for the magical silver tongue of our MC, which every other character fell for. At least that's what I thought, until the final episode came in. And she declares her love for the MC, to which I was like, what the I punched air, literally. For the entirety of the show, she tried getting him killed, just for it to be a, I love you, this is why I wanted you dead, so you wouldn't experience the pain of the game again. Bitch, you met him one day before the game started. When exactly did you fall in love with him? Before or after he tried to kill you?
Thanks for that. One of the biggest misconceptions in anime is the way gore and sex scenes are treated. A lot of people seem to think that adding lots of gore, violence, rape scenes, etc. somehow makes the show more mature, more targeted towards an older audience, but this is just not the case. Without the proper context, scenes like these garner almost no effect whatsoever. This is something I touched a little bit on my Elfenlight video. Just having senseless gore isn't very shocking when you don't care. Characters need to be developed for me to care about what happens to them. Just introducing a character, then killing them almost immediately isn't shocking. It's just annoying. Like, why should I care that this character died, or that this character and this character are forced to have sex with each other when you've given me no reason to? Now, as you can imagine, with this show being in the bottom 100, the general views and public perception of this show is very low, and it's not hard to see why. Aside from a few joke reviews, I could barely find anyone saying anything positive about King's Game. The only positive reviews I could find were people admitting that it was shit and only watching it because of that. King's Game is an absolute mess of a show, feeling more like a fever dream than an actual anime. So to answer the question I posed at the start of this video, is King's Game as bad as they say? Yes it is. And for that reason, I'm going to rate it a 3 out of 10. Thank you.
I completely agree with Habex here, but I'm being a bit more harsh. In my opinion, King's Game is a 2 out of 10. Honestly, this anime is just atrocious and fully deserves being in the worst 100 animes of my anime list. And this is all I have to say for this anime. So yeah, for Habex, thank you for collabing with me, thank you for having me on your channel, and for all your viewers, don't forget to like and subscribe for more great anime content. Bye!
Alright, that is the end of the video. Quick shout out to anybody who made it this far, and a quick thanks to D-Red for agreeing to make this video with me. Go check out his channel if you already haven't. He makes really cool videos, but with that, I am done. Bye.